we can easily mention Russia as a country of epic proportions, both in size and heritage. It's also home to ballet, vodka, and some of the most famous writers, such as Leo Tolstoy and Fyodor Dostoevsky. But let's be real. When people think of Russia today, one name tends to dominate the conversation: Vladimir Putin, who has transitioned into one of the most talked about and influential figures in global politics. This is Opulence Luxury, where we discuss the luxurious life of the rich. But who really is Vladimir Putin beyond the headlines? Putin is a powerhouse. Whether you know him as a former KGB officer or the leader who's kept Russia on the global stage, we're here to break down how he got to where he is today and what keeps him there. So subscribe to this channel and tap the notification button as we dive into the life and rise of Vladimir Putin, the man who's been steering the ship of the largest country in the world for 2 decades. Vladimir Putin, born on October 7, 1952, in Leningrad, now St. Petersburg, Russia, is a prominent Russian intelligence officer and politician with a net worth of $70 billion, according to Celebrity Net Worth. He held the presidency of Russia twice, from 2000 to 2008, and again since 2012, making him the longest-serving leader of Russia or the Soviet Union since Joseph Stalin. Putin spent 16 years as a KGB foreign intelligence officer, achieving the rank of lieutenant colonel before leaving the agency in 1991 to pursue a political career in St. Petersburg. In 1996, Putin relocated to Moscow to join President Boris Yeltsin's administration. He had a brief stint as the director of the Federal Security Service, FSB, and then served as the Secretary of the Security Council of Russia before being appointed Prime Minister in August 1999. After Yeltsin's resignation, Putin stepped in as acting president and was elected to his first full term in less than 4 months. He won re-election in 2004. Due to constitutional restrictions on consecutive presidential terms, he took on the role of prime minister again from 2008 to 2012 under Dmitry Medvedev. For a person born during the war, this guy had a rough start. The youngest of 3 siblings, Vladimir Putin was born to Vladimir Spiridonovich Putin and Maria Ivanovna Putina. His grandfather, Spiridon Putin, served as a personal chef for both Vladimir Lenin and Joseph Stalin. Tragically, before his birth, Putin lost 2 brothers: Albert, born in the 1930s, who passed away in infancy, and Victor, born in 1940, who succumbed to diphtheria and starvation during the siege of Leningrad in 1942. Putin's mother worked in a factory, while his father served in the submarine fleet of the Soviet Navy during the early 1930s. He later joined the regular army and sustained serious injuries in 1942. Additionally, Putin's maternal grandmother was killed by German forces in the Tver region in 1941, and his maternal uncles went missing on the Eastern Front during the war. Just for fun, does it click now why Vladimir Putin is the way he is? Let's move on. On September 1st, 1960, Putin began his education at School Number 193, located on Baskov Lane, close to his residence. At the age of 12, he took up Sambo and Judo, and in his leisure time, he delved into the writings of Karl Marx, Friedrich Engels, and Lenin. He later attended St. Petersburg High School 281, which offered a German language immersion program. Soon, he became fluent in German, often delivering speeches and interviews in that language. In 1970, Putin enrolled in law studies at Leningrad State University, named after Andrei Zhdanov, now known as St. Petersburg State University, and completed his degree in 1975. During his time at university, He joined the Communist Party of the Soviet Union, CPSU, remaining a member until its dissolution in 1991. In 1997, Putin earned another degree in economics from St. Petersburg Mining University. Vladimir Putin tied the knot with Lyudmila Shkrebneva in 1983. The couple spent several years in East Germany from 1985 to 1990, during which time their daughter, Yekaterina Putina, was born. Their other daughter, Maria Putina, was born in Leningrad. However, their love story ended in June 2013 when they publicly announced their divorce, which was officially finalized by April 2014. In 1999, former Russian President Boris Yeltsin stepped down and named Vladimir Putin as interim president. Putin emerged victorious in the March 2000 elections, vowing to restore Russia's strength. His agenda focused on combating corruption and establishing a regulated market economy. He re-established authority over Russia's 89 regions and republics, reorganizing them into 7 federal districts. In 2004, he was re-elected and later appointed Dmitry Medvedev as his successor in 2008. Following his victory in the 2008 presidential election, both leaders decided to swap roles. Medvedev appointed Putin as the Prime Minister of Russia, a decision approved by the nation's parliament. In 2012, Putin secured a third presidential term, while Medvedev was once again selected to serve as Prime Minister. After Medvedev assumed the presidency in 2008, the duration of presidential terms was extended to 6 years, starting with the 2012 elections. In 2011, Medvedev put forward Putin as the presidential candidate for their party, a strategy referred to as rokirovka. Putin secured victory in that year's presidential election with a significant percentage of the votes, despite widespread allegations of electoral fraud. Opposition factions accused both Putin and the United Russia Party of manipulating the election process, leading to a series of anti-Putin demonstrations during and after the election campaign. In response, a rally of Putin supporters drew an impressive crowd of 130,000, marking it as the largest show of support for him to date. Putin officially began his new term on May 7, 2012, issuing over 10 presidential decrees that included ambitious economic objectives. He also endorsed tougher laws targeting the LGBT community in cities like St. Petersburg and Arkhangelsk, most notably the Russian gay propaganda law. Putin justified this legislation as a ban on the propaganda of pedophilia and homosexuality, asserting that it did not discriminate against homosexuals. In 2013, he participated in a rally for the All Russia People's Front, which aimed to bridge the gap between the Kremlin and the Russian populace, potentially positioning itself as an alternative to the increasingly unpopular United Russia Party. In February 2014, following the Euromaidan protests and the ousting of Ukrainian President Viktor Yanukovych, Russia launched military operations into Ukraine, notably seizing Crimea. This move was solidified by a controversial referendum, which can be seen as the precursor to the Russo-Ukrainian War, pitting the Ukrainian government against separatist forces backed by Russia. By November 2014, reports emerged from the Ukrainian military, detailing significant troop and equipment movements from Russia into eastern Ukraine. The OSCE noted the presence of over 21 vehicles marked with Russian military insignia, indicating soldiers who had died in action. By October 2015, Russia had shifted elite military units from Ukraine to Syria to bolster the regime of President Bashar al-Assad. Pro-Russian scholar Andrei Tsigankov suggested that Putin's annexation of Crimea marked a shift in Russian foreign policy, aimed at safeguarding nations within Russia's sphere from Western influence. Again, Putin secured victory in the 2018 Russian presidential election, garnering the majority of votes, and commenced his 4th term on the 7th of May. He called upon Dmitry Medvedev to establish a new government, and participated in the inauguration of the movement along the Crimean Bridge. Announcing that he would not seek re-election in 2024, Putin cited adherence to the Russian constitution as his reason. In June 2018, he had the honor of inaugurating the 21st FIFA World Cup, marking its first occurrence in Russia. On January 15, 2020, following Putin's address to the Federal Assembly, Medvedev and his cabinet stepped down. Putin proposed significant constitutional changes aimed at extending his influence beyond the presidency while maintaining his authority until a new government was established. On that same day, he put forward Mikhail Mishustin as a candidate for prime minister. This nomination was approved by the State Duma and formalized through Putin's decree. Fast forward to Putin's fifth tenure. In the 2024 Russian presidential election, Putin secured a significant number of votes. The voting took place in regions under Russian control, where numerous irregularities were reported, including ballot stuffing and voter coercion. Despite these events, on May 7, 2024, Vladimir Putin was officially inaugurated as president, and on May 12th, he replaced Sergei Shoigu as defense minister in a cabinet shakeup marking the start of his fifth term. On February 24, 2022, Russian forces launched a ground offensive into Ukrainian territory. Before the campaign began, Russia had been building up its military forces since the previous year, accompanied by multiple demands for security guarantees and legal restrictions to prevent Ukraine from joining NATO. President Vladimir Putin declared it a Special Military Operation, SMO. This is a complex legal and political speak for seizing control of the nation and toppling its democratically elected government. This aggressive move drew widespread international outrage, prompting calls for war crime investigations against Putin. The International Criminal Court, ICC, announced its intention to investigate potential war crimes in Ukraine dating back to late 2013, while the United States pledged support for the ICC in holding Putin and others accountable for their actions during the invasion. 2 years into the war, Putin expressed a willingness to negotiate a ceasefire in Ukraine, favoring diplomatic solutions over unpopular measures like nationwide mobilization and increased military spending. On the 1st of August, 2024, the Russian president granted pardons to American journalist Evan Gershkovich and opposition leaders Vladimir Kara-Murza and Ilya Yashin as part of a prisoner exchange with Western nations. On September 25, 2024, Putin issued a stark warning to the West, declaring that any conventional attack on Russia would trigger a nuclear response. Interestingly, President Putin's tenure has been a mix of both sweet and bitter experiences for Russians. How does a man like Putin have a good time? Like your regular Joe, Putin has his favorite things to do. They include hunting, swimming, hockey, rafting, fishing, and, yes, horse riding. In 2009, he was famously captured on camera riding bare-chested in the Siberian wilderness. He also rode alongside a female police officer in celebration of International Women's Day in March 2019. Putin pulls up with the Flying Kremlin, a $716 million jet boasting luxurious amenities such as a spacious office, a regal bedroom, and even a gold-plated toilet. The jet also offers a meeting room, a well-stocked bar featuring top-shelf whiskeys, and a fully equipped gym with treadmills, weightlifting sets, and a boxing bag for pre-landing workouts with speeds of up to 900 miles per hour. Well, when it comes to world leaders, few are as controversial, powerful, and talked about as Vladimir Putin. So, whether you love him, hate him, or just don't quite know what to make of him, don't forget to like, share, and comment for more videos like this. See you next time.